In this tutorial, we will consider how Petrolog saves results of calculations to files. For this simple example which we will use, I would like to add Plagioclase clays to the crystallizing assemblage by selecting a model. I will also add Kleine pyroxene by selecting a model. I would change crystallization pressure to 5 kilobars, and I'll define the parameter to stop calculations as 15% of crystallization, 85% of melt remaining. Before we start calculations, I would like to change the crystallization step for this example to a much lower value, simply because I would like crystallization to go slower so we can see what's going on. But this is not recommended, and I would always recommend to keep the same calculation step as 0.01%. So when I click Start Calculations, please watch what's happening here in the directory from which we started Petrolog. As crystallization start, you will see files are appearing there, and these are the files into which Petrolog writes the composition of the magma, composition of the melt, composition of crystals. Here we have olivine and plagioclase forming. So we have now 4 different files. As crystallization proceeds towards the end of our run, Kleine pyroxene will join the crystallizing assemblage, and in here you will have another file appearing. So now it happened. You can see that there is a file for Kleine pyroxene now, and we reach the end of calculations as indicated by the final composition line. So as a result of this simple run, Petrolog saved 5 different files. You can open each of them and look at the content if you like. However, the recommended way to do this, if you have Microsoft Excel installed on your computer, is to export results to Excel. We will use the option of exporting results of the last calculation. This is a calculation which has been just completed. As you can see, we now have an Excel file which has 5 different sheets, and each of those sheets correspond to the files we have saved during the run. One of them contains all the calculation parameters, and there is a file with the composition of melt, magma, and other parameters, and then one sheet for each of the mineral compositions. This is plagioclase, this is olivine, and so on. We have a separate tutorial which explains the structure of the results files, so we are not considering this in this tutorial. One thing to remember, if we use this way of looking at the results, that if we click now Start Calculations again, Petrolog will delete all those files and will start writing new files with the results of the new calculation. The implication here is that you need to export the results of the calculation into Excel before you run your calculations again. And this is my preferred way of looking at the results and saving the results. Just to make sure that what I'm explaining here is clear, let's say that we decided that we would like to rerun this with 4 kilobar pressure. And please watch what will happen here if I do Start Calculations again. As soon as I do this, you will see that files will be deleted, and these are already new files with the results of the new calculations. Now plagioclase will appear again. Now it's the plagioclase compositions in this file, and so on. I'll interrupt calculations because I hope that it is clear what I'm trying to say. However, if you prefer to keep the original Petrolog output files from different calculations and avoid them being overwritten, you can do this by defining the name of the output file for each calculations. To do this, you use file for output option, and let's say you will call your results my file 1, and if you save this name and we start calculations again now, what you will see that the results are not going to be overwritten, but new files will be created. But before we do this, I will change the calculation step back to the recommended number. So we can clear the results, start calculations, and what you can see, we are adding new files and we are keeping the old files in place. Now, if we want to rerun them again at different conditions, and we want to again keep the results, we can go back here and say that we would like now to call our results my file 2. And if we again start calculations, you will see that the new results are occurring in that directory. Now, if we want to now import those results into Excel, we are using a different option, results of previous calculations. We need to find the results we want. Let's say we want to import my file 1 results. And what's important here to remember that we need to click on the file with the shortest name, which in this case will be this file, my file 1 frac. If we choose this file and do open, we will create a new Excel file with the new sheets from that particular calculation. If we want to import the results of the other calculations, we're going to go back here. Again, we choose the file with the shortest name, my file 2 with the shortest name. And as you can see, we now have another export into Excel, which you can examine and save in Excel as an Excel file if you would like. This concludes the current tutorial. As always, if you have questions, you can always email us at support@petrologsoftware.com.